along with Abby. Debbie's going to talk about the service or therapy dog, about the differences and how you could go about acquiring one. And Kaeden has his service dog here, Abby. I don't think you could see her on the screen, but she's lazing about. So yeah, Debbie's just going to go over that and explain to us anything that you may need to know. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and we'll do our best to answer them.
Well, thanks for having us. This is Abby. She's a golden doodle, and we've had her for 2 years. And when we first we were thinking of getting a service dog for Kaeden. It was like kind of overwhelming because there are so many questions, and we were hearing different ways that you could acquire a dog. So we looked into the Lions Club and filled out an application with them and sent it in. And then there was a place in Kingston, Four Paws I think it's called. We sent in application for them and letters from the doctor and everything. And there was about a 2-year wait at least. And then the Lions Club closed down for a while, and they were only doing PTSD dogs, focusing on that. And we had trouble with the one in Kingston. They said, well, we didn't get your information, it's not on our desk, so they wanted us to do it again and go get the letter from the doctor. And I said, oh, and you had to wait till a trainer came up into our area, and because they're from Toronto, they didn't know how long that would take. So that slows the process down again. And then while they're working with the dog over the 2-year time, you don't even meet the dog until the week before it comes to your home. And so we looked into getting a private trainer, and we found one in Ottawa. And so we purchased Abby, and he went and picked her up. He met her to make sure that she was a sound dog for the job, and brought her home. And the first time that Kaeden met her, 2 weeks after he brought her home, like Abby just took to him right away. Like she came right over, and he was sitting on the floor, and she leaned over and across him, and they were like inseparable. And because he works in Ottawa, we got to go once a month and visit Abby and see what he was doing with her and how the training was going. And that was 18 months. So he's closed his business now. He isn't there for medical reasons. But I did bring with me also some trainers that do it. We have Canine Will, and we worked with him, and he works with an organization that trains dogs for PTSD as well. And he's out of Napanee though. And there's also Maple Meadows Dog Training and Service Animals, and they're out of Kempville. And they do all sorts of training, even agility and everything. And then there's the Working Canine, a friend of mine who was hoping to come today and couldn't because she's working. She has 2 businesses, and she trains dogs for pretty much everything. And which is good with these trainers is they actually like to work with you to do the training. So the dog lives with you, you go to them, or they come to you and work with you for the day, and maybe like once a week they'll work with you. So the dog's always building that bond with the child. And like when Abby came to us, we had a lot of questions because she hadn't lived with us. And are we doing this right? Are we doing that right? And then when she went to school, that was a big adjustment for us as well. It took a while to get her settled in because a lot of the service dogs, they'll have a bit of separation anxiety if they're away from the handler, which is normal. And our trainer had thought, well, keep her in a crate in the classroom while he's out at recess. Well, that didn't work. She got out every crate and waited at the door or barked or howled. So she goes out at recess. She goes everywhere with him now, as it should be. And Kaeden, maybe you could say how you find it's having the difference having Abby, like when you're at school or you're doing your speeches or going into a new environment.
Well, it really helps a lot. I go on the stage at school for a talent show, and I have her beside me petting her, and it really takes the stress off. And I find it helps a lot.
Yeah, and at night too, if Kaeden has like night terror, I guess you could call it, like Abby's there on the bed, and she's been a great help for Kaeden since we've got her. We've had her, like I say, 2 years, and in September they're going into high school. So that's another whole new experience, which I'm anxious about, I think, more than anybody. Kaden's in the Catholic school board, and they're quite, they work with you, and it's easy to get a service dog in with the Catholic school board, where the public school board is a little more difficult. They're not as, they're accepting, but not as accepting, and so it's harder to work with. And one of the reasons is because in Ontario, there's no certification for a service dog. Alberta, BC, there is. It's a lot stricter, and you have to get your dog certified, but in Ontario there isn't. So some places will ask, well, for the certification, but there isn't one. If you have a doctor's note with you, we applied through Service Dogs of Canada, and we got her a vest, and we have a card. Where is that? Yeah, with her picture and everything on it. And we got her card and her tag and certificate through Service Dogs of Canada.
And is that just an application?
Yeah, you go online and fill it out, and yeah, they send you. They also sent a really good booklet. This isn't it. I lent it to the trainer. I haven't got back to Napanee to get it. So Stacy printed this one online for me, and it tells you all the laws in Ontario or Alberta or anywhere on what the difference between a emotional support animal, therapy animal, or service dog is. The only dog that is certified in Ontario is the service dog for the blind. They have to be, guide dog have to be certified. And the difference between a service dog is that they're trained to do a specific task for their handler. Emotional support dog is there for one handler to supply comfort and emotional support for the one person. But there's no specific training. And then a therapy dog is just trained to supply comfort for everybody, to go into nursing homes and that. So a service dog is allowed into any establishment, where emotional support, if you have a doctor's letter just saying, like, you know, your child has autism or what they're diagnosed with, in a vest saying ESA, a lot of places, if you explain it, that can we bring our dog in, it's emotional support, and it really is helpful. Most places will let you, but they don't have to. So it depends what you want from the dog, what you might want to go through, whether a service dog, emotional support animal, and that's a difference. A service dog has to be a dog. And the ESA or therapy can be any animal. It can be a miniature horse. And I've seen that where they've had them and taken them on airplanes. Crazy. But yeah, so.
I was saying, Rob, that perhaps I could add that document on our Facebook page to the files section.
Yeah.
Because there's there's really good descriptions of the different types of service animals or therapy animals and that sort of thing. And it lays out the laws very clearly in that document. So
Beautiful.
it'd be helpful to read.
And you can pass it around
Yeah,
too.
yes. 21 pages, so.
And I'm wondering if we could note the trainers that Debbie referred to as.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
On the website, if that's appropriate.
Yeah, and that's what I'll do. These are the ones that I have, that I've talked to, and I've worked both with Veronica from Canine, the Working Canine. She has 2 businesses, and she works like in the States and in Ontario and all over. But she will come to your home. So, I mean, it doesn't matter that you're not in Ottawa. She'll go anywhere. And Canine Will out at Napanee, he's excellent. We've been to him a few times, and he's about an hour from us, an hour and a half. But it's where, I don't know where everybody here lives or how close, Yard Kempville even, but it's worth speaking to them on the phone. And if they know somebody near you, somebody else, they might be able to help out.
You're saying there's a 2-year waiting list and then it's 18 months?
No,
Training.
once you, if like through an organization like the Lions Club, you mean, they're, from the time you apply, it's about 2 years with them. The one in Kingston, it was about 2 years once you're accepted. So it's longer than that. Yeah.
And did you
And-
find the dog yourself, or did you find that one?
Pardon?
Did you find the dog, did you have to look for the dog yourself? What did you?
We
did you
found
look for
it,
the
yeah.
dog?
I wanted to get I was thinking, I wanted to get a golden doodle because they're used a lot and they're a good family dog. So I just looked up for breeders of golden doodles, and she was in Lindsay. But a lady where I got my Bernedoodle from, she lives in Lansdowne. I don't know if it's between Smith Falls and Kingston. And she has, she breeds golden doodles, but she wasn't any at the time, Bernedoodles and Wolfadoodles. And the Wolfadoodle are very good. She's used a lot, they've been used a lot with the PTSD dogs. There's a trainer that said he might start buying litters at a time from her for that. They're so smart.
Is this out of your own pocket or does someone help?
It
you
is.
fund it?
If you, there's an organization that they require you to do the fundraising to pay for it. We paid for this out of our own pocket. Now, I don't know, I know for the PTSD, they kept all the receipts and they got help with getting money back. I haven't spoke with the man in the group I'm in. That might only be for the PTSD dogs, though, I'm not sure. But we had to pay for it all. Now, when I was speaking to Will about the training for service dogs, he said he normally doesn't do the in-home training, but he will. And it's quite, like, it's a lot of money a month, but he said it wouldn't take him a year. It would, it would take him just a few short months to have the dog ready. He said, or he works with you, which is a lot cheaper. So you're just having one session a week, I think, with him to learn. And if it's one specific task, he'll teach you that. Like maybe the child bolts and you want the dog to keep it in one place. That can be one thing. So we paid monthly. We actually paid a lot. I think we paid more than, now that I'm looking into it more.
You went through an organization like the Lions Club and that it's
They pay,
Pay for
yeah,
it.
depending, like, yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's another one they want you to do, your fundraising yourself to raise the money for it. So, yeah, it just depends which way. That's what I mean. It's good to look into all the options and what works with you.
So where did your costs kind of come in, Debbie? How much?
Oh, we paid $1,500 for Abby, and we paid the trainer $781 a month for 18 months. Now, Will said that was a lot. Now he charges, but Abby lived at the trainer's house. If I had to do it again, I would have gone with training it myself with the trainer, like working with the trainer and doing it. And I think it would have worked out better in the long run for Kaeden. And we would have saved a lot of money doing it that way. Now Will take them in once the dog reaches 5 months and do the training at his house and then bring to you. But he said there's no way it would take him that long. And it wouldn't, I don't know why it took that long. Because after we started towards the end going for visits, I thought, okay, well, she's being trained to stay on the bed and not move unless she's told. But this seems to be just what's happening every time we come. She at 4 months, like she was walking off leash, healing. She could stay at one end of the sidewalk and Brad would walk 2 blocks away. She wouldn't move. Like, she was really, really smart. Now, the one Wolfadoodle that was trained for PTSD, she was trained in 9 months. And that was the handler working with Will. Yeah. So.
You just kind of have to explore the different avenues and see what
Mhm.
works for you. I think that was part of the learning experience, right? Was when you trained with training with Brad for Abby, and then afterwards doing additional training, and then you found out about Will, right?
Yeah, because when we would go and then we started taking Abby out, we wanted the trainer, Brad, to come with us. Okay, well, like come with us to the store, come with us here. And he said, no, I can't go because, you know, she'll be always looking at me and waiting for me instead of with Kaeden because she's used to being with me. But that just didn't work because then she comes home to us and she's familiar with us and she is attached to Kaeden, but we can't see what he's doing, you know, at the restaurants or in the stores or anything. So we had so many questions back and forth. And then going to Will and working with him for 8 sessions, mostly for Kaeden, it was a world of difference. And now, like I say, I got a Wolfadoodle from Lynn, who's in Lansdowne, as well, from the same parents that the other 2 Wolfadoodles came from. And I want to train her for an emotional support animal. And so I brought her home yesterday, so I'm thinking, oh, this is not easy, like training, and I'm just training her, okay, to get used to a leash or to come, that kind of thing. Oh gosh, this is going to be a long road. But I'm going to take her up to see Will for 1 session and make sure I'm doing it right. We're going up next weekend. So.
Quite a character.
Yeah.
She cleans her feet.
But the kids at school have been really good. There hasn't been too much issue with them wanting, like, of course everybody wants to pet her or talk to her or anything. And it doesn't matter what vest you have on or how many patches you have on. They say no eye contact, do not touch, do not speak. For adults, they don't pay attention to that. The kids are good, but the adults, oh, my dad, oh, do not pet. That was my dad. And what am I going to say to him? I feel I can't say anything to my dad, so when we go to his, I say to Kaeden, take her vest off. So, and the important thing, which our trainer never told us, and all these trainers told us, that it makes sense, is that being a service dog is the hardest job a dog has, any dog, because when they're working, they can't focus on anything, they're not supposed to focus on anything around them. They have to ignore it, pay attention only to you. Where a dog wants to sniff and they want to pay attention and play. So they said when they're at home and they're not working, their vest is off and they're a dog. They're just like part of the family, and they need that release.
When we took Kaeden to that Sens game that time when we had the suite up there, that was a good experience as well, eh? We took her in, and because there was a lot of questions from people walking her in, and even the staff, I was a little bit surprised. The staff too, checking to see kind of like what her service was and that sort of thing, what it was that she did. And I remember going to get on the elevator, and the one staff member was like, wait, like, no animals can go on the elevator. What do you, she's a service animal, like, what do you mean she can't go on the elevator? And luckily the other person that was at the elevator was like, don't listen to her, just get on the elevator, right? So, yeah.
I told them she's been on an elevator before.
Yeah, I'm sure that helped. But I mean, so you definitely do run into challenges when you're out in society, because, like Mom was saying, surprisingly enough, the adults are actually the ones that seem to. It just blows my mind.
People
She's
feel they have to
able.
touch a dog. If they see a dog, they have to touch it. I have a Great Dane, also I have a lot of dogs. I have a Great Dane, and we put a lot of money into training her because unfortunately she was very insecure when we got her as a pup, and it just got worse, and she didn't like being around people, so the same trainer, I had to work with her, and I have like a do not pet on her when we go out, because people think, oh, it's a Great Dane, like they're just big babies, they love everybody.
And she tries to eat them.
And she's never tried to hurt anybody, but she's not people friendly. She's nervous of them. But they assume that because a lot of Great Danes they have the reputation of being couch potatoes, and that, not true. They're just as active as any other dog, and not all of them like to be touched. So it's a problem. She'll bark at somebody if they go to touch her, and it's like they get frightened, but she's not, it's normal.
I think the problem with Abby is she's so cute. Everybody just wants, like, even I have a hard time not touching her.
We ran into a problem in a restaurant. This blew my mind. We were up in Cobden, and we went into the restaurant, and she always goes under the table and stays out of the way when we're in the restaurant, which is she's supposed to do. And Kaeden had to go to the washroom, so he brought her out and went, and there was a lady sitting above looking down on us. So when they came back, she goes, is that your dog? And he said, yes. Well, why do you have her under the table? I said, well, because she's a service dog and she's working. Well, you shouldn't have her under the table. She should be out here. And I said, no, she has to be under the table, out of the way. Well, you shouldn't have her there. Like, she should be out here where everybody can see her. She's a beautiful dog. And she argued, and like the waitress had to say, like, I'm sorry, but could you, that's their service dog, so let's just, stop this. But she was quite upset that Abby wasn't out in the aisle where everybody could look at her.
I think we were the only ones in there too.
Yeah, it was just us and her.
So everybody wants to. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Now, service dogs, are they just for one specific issue, or is it multiple issues?
It can be
that you train
multiple.
for?
Yeah, they can be trained for multiple. Yeah. Kaeden's is mostly just the pressure for helping to calm, and just being with him, and he can reach down and touch her and that to help in situations. Or at nighttime if he's had a bad dream or something like that.
And she replaced the weighted blanket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does she sense it? Is that what she's trained for?
Yeah.
She senses when you're not feeling good or
Yeah.
whatever.
Even if her jacket is off, She's still sensitive?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
She's just, like, Kaeden will tell her work on, and she puts the vest, so she knows that when they're going out, that she's not supposed to interact with
Yeah.
other people, and, you know, all her focus is to be on him. I think it's hard for her at times.
She is so darn pretty.
Mhm.
She knows it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been our experience anyway, so far. And I don't know if you have any more questions, but I do have the information, I believe, and the phone numbers, and all these people have, they're on Facebook as well, so they do have contact through Facebook and email addresses as well, too.
So we can definitely, we'll get that posted up on the Facebook page there,
Oh,
right
okay.
after the videos, so.
Oh,
And
and
that
I,
with the link of the booklet.
Yeah.
I also have the phone number for Service Dogs Canada. They have a 24-hour, you can call anytime. And then I have their number, and you can just call if you have any questions, and they're really good there to answer any questions you have. I have the numbers there if you want.
I'll take a picture of
And
it.
they
so
have
I
an
can-
email address as well, too. It's nice to talk to somebody.
How old is she?
She's 3.
There you go.
Thank you.
So that will conclude the live streaming portion. We thank everyone who joined us. Diane, do you want to take over at this point?
Yeah, certainly. Thanks so much, Debbie, for
Oh,
joining us.
you're welcome.
You're
You're welcome.
Just a making contact. No, we do appreciate the information, and, usually right now,